Just before returning home from deployment, I got a chilling message from my daughter. Mom's new lover brought a gang. They've taken over. They said they'll ambush you and force me to watch. My lungs collapsed in on themselves. My ears rang like a missile had just landed beside me. I read the message again and again. Her name lit up the screen. Emily, my little girl, only 12 years old. I filed for immediate discharge. No paperwork. No delay. I used my last favors, my rank, and every damn ounce of my reputation to get home. My name is Jason Blake, Staff Sergeant, 82nd Airborne. But titles meant nothing right now. I wasn't a soldier. I was a father. And a husband who just realized he'd been stabbed in the back by the one woman who vowed to wait for him. Her name's Brooke, and God, she used to be the kind of woman that made other wives jealous. Blonde hair, smart mouth, wicked smile. She was the kind of woman who'd wear lingerie under an apron just to make breakfast exciting. That's what she was. Now I don't even know what to call her. I landed at 2:40 a.m. I didn't wait for baggage. I didn't call a cab. I had a buddy, Tyler, waiting curbside in a beat-up Dodge Charger, engine humming low like a loaded shotgun. "You ready for this?" he asked, glancing over with those steel-cold eyes he only used in firefights. I nodded. She made it personal, Ty. She picked the wrong man to play games with. Exactly. The neighborhood was asleep when we pulled into my driveway, except for the lights on inside my own damn house. Music was playing. Not loud, but steady. Thump, thump, thump. Some kind of bass-heavy trap beat. And there was a shadow in the upstairs window, tall, broad, definitely not Brooke. I motioned to Tyler. "Front door's mine. You circle back. If it goes loud, handle Emily." He just nodded. I stepped up to the door and saw it, the brass welcome sign crooked, like someone had slammed the door one too many times. The porch smelled like cheap weed and sweat. I gritted my teeth and slowly turned the knob. It was unlocked. I stepped in, and there she was. Brooke, in nothing but an oversized Lakers jersey, not mine, leaning against the kitchen counter, sipping wine like she was in a damn commercial. Her blonde hair was messy, not in the cute way. Her eyes looked fogged up from whatever she'd been smoking. And her smirk? That bitch had the audacity to smile. "Well, look who finally decided to show up," she said, not even flinching. "What's the matter, soldier boy? Couldn't handle a real deployment, so you came running back?" I stood there, shaking. Not from fear. Not from exhaustion. From rage. It built in my chest like pressure behind a dam, ready to blow. But I had to stay focused. "Where's Emily?" I growled. "Oh, she's fine," she said, waving her hand like I'd asked where the remote was. "Probably locked herself in her room again. Little drama queen. I told her you'd come back acting all macho. Thought I was kidding. Guess not." And then he walked in. The lover. He was tall, tattooed, shirtless, and grinning like he owned the place. Corey, I'd later learn. Drug dealer. Ex-con. Current trash. He strolled in holding a damn machete in one hand and a bottle of tequila in the other. "Yo, this the ex?" he said, licking his teeth. "Looks like he needs to be taught a lesson." "Not ex," I snapped, stepping closer. "Not yet." Brooke laughed. "Oh honey, you've been ex since the minute you deployed. Did you really think I was going to stay loyal while you played G.I. Joe overseas? Please. I need a real man. Not some government-issued robot who checks in once a month and leaves me cold at night. You brought this into our home," I whispered, voice cracking. "You brought him around our daughter." And she snapped. Maybe she needs to see what a real man looks like. That was it. Before Corey could lift that machete again, I had him against the wall, arm twisted, blade clattering to the floor. Brooke screamed, but I didn't touch her, not yet. Tyler stormed in behind me, gun drawn, swept the room. "Emily's safe. Upstairs closet. She locked herself in," he said. "Get her out. Take her to the truck." "What about them?" I stared at Brooke as she picked up her wine again, hand shaking for the first time. "This ends my way." Brooke stood there, wine glass trembling just slightly in her hand. For the first time, I saw it, the crack in her act. That perfect little performance she'd been putting on since the day I stepped foot through the door. But now, her smirk was forced. Her eyes darted toward the fallen machete like she had any idea what to do next. "Put that glass down," I said coldly. She didn't move, just raised her eyebrows and took a slow sip like we were still playing house. Like this was just another argument in a long list of married people squabbles. "Brooke," I said again, sharper now, "put it down." She placed it on the counter, finally. Her lips curled. "You always had a problem with control, Jason. That's why I needed someone who could let me breathe, not choke the life out of me with rules. Rules. I repeated. You mean loyalty? Respect? Protecting your daughter from crackhead scum with weapons in her home? Corey groaned from where I'd slammed him into the wall, massaging his shoulder. She invited me, he muttered. Said you'd already signed the divorce papers. I turned on her. Did you really tell him that? She shrugged. Well, it was practically true. Emotionally? We were over the moment you boarded that plane. Emotionally? That was rich coming from someone who hadn't sent a single care package in 11 months. Who only replied to my emails with one-liners and excuses. I thought she was just overwhelmed. Raising Emily alone. I tried to understand. I was such a goddamn fool. You know what I found in your emails? I said. Nothing. Not one conversation between you and your so-called girlfriends about missing me. Just memes, shopping links, and one long-ass thread where you bragged about how hot your trainer was. Josh, she said, blinking. That was months ago. He wasn't even that good. My stomach twisted. She didn't even bother denying it. Didn't flinch. Didn't even look ashamed. Tyler came back down the stairs, gently holding Emily's hand. She had tears streaked across her face, but she was silent. Brave. Like I'd raised her to be. She saw Brooke and instantly looked away. You okay, baby girl? I asked, voice softening. She nodded slowly. I just want to go. I don't want to be in this house anymore. That was it. That was the final nail. Take her to my mom's. Stay the night, I said to Tyler. What about you? I looked Brooke dead in the eyes. I'm gonna have a little talk with my wife. Tyler hesitated, then nodded and led Emily out. Brooke chuckled bitterly. What now, Jason? You gonna cry? Get all mopey? Say you deserve better? Maybe you do. But you weren't exactly husband of the year either. I was out there dodging bullets while you were playing house with a gang member. I was surviving, she snapped, stepping forward, suddenly fierce again. You think it was easy raising a kid while you ran around the desert with your buddies? You think I didn't have needs? Desires? I waited. For 2 months. And then I realized you weren't coming back the same. So I made peace with it. And I moved on. You didn't move on, I said quietly. You moved down. She slapped me. It didn't hurt. Not really. I didn't even blink. I just stood there as she panted in front of me, mascara running, mouth trembling. You're not the man I married, she hissed. No, I agreed. I'm a better man. And that's why I'm not going to destroy you the way I want to. Her face went pale. I'm filing for full custody. I've got evidence. Photos. Witnesses. The moment you brought Corey into this house with drugs and weapons, you made it easy. Emily's done with you. I'm done with you. She opened her mouth, but I didn't wait to hear another lie. I turned, walked out the door, and left her in that house full of broken promises. The war wasn't in the desert anymore. It was right here. And I was finally winning. The door slammed shut behind me, but her voice still echoed in my ears. You'll regret this, Jason. No, I wouldn't. Tyler's Charger was already pulling out of the driveway, Emily in the back seat. I watched her through the window, small, pale, shaken. She looked back once, just once, and our eyes locked. I gave her a nod, the kind we use in the field. It meant, I got this. I stood outside in the cold night air for a moment. No jacket. No plan. Just the rage still burning behind my ribs. My fists clenched so tight they hurt. But inside, beneath the fury, was something worse, disbelief. After all I'd given, all I'd endured, this is what I came home to? I walked to the garage. My old toolbox was still in the corner. I pried it open, grabbed my backup phone from the false bottom. Brooke never knew about it. It's where I kept all the contacts, files, photos, just in case things ever went south. And God, they had gone nuclear. I pulled up a folder called Household. Inside, photos of Corey with different women, most of them barely legal. Screenshots of Brooke's texts to her sister, bragging about Jason's money funding her real life. A video clip, grainy, recorded from a hallway camera I installed before deployment. Brooke. Corey. The living room. Her on the couch, laughing as he. I stopped watching. That wasn't my wife anymore. That was a stranger wearing her skin. I forwarded everything to my attorney, Liam Ross, a no-nonsense divorce shark I knew from my military benefits workshop. Then I made one more call. Hello, a deep voice answered. Uncle Frank, I said. I need a favor. He paused. Jason? What kind of favor? The kind that sends people running. No violence. Just a message. He didn't hesitate. You got it. Uncle Frank wasn't blood. but he'd been close to my father, old school. A construction boss with old connections. The kind of guy who could make someone disappear from a neighborhood with one phone call. I didn't want revenge. I wanted safety. For Emily. For myself. I needed Corey and his gang out of my damn house. Half an hour later, I saw them leave. 3 of them, Corey included, jumped into a beat-up truck, spinning tires as they fled the neighborhood like roaches in daylight. I don't know what Uncle Frank said, but it worked. I waited until they were gone. Then I walked back into my house. Brooke was sitting on the couch, knees pulled up, arms wrapped around herself. For once, she looked small. "You think scaring them off fixes this?" she whispered. "You think making me look like trash makes you a hero?" "No," I said. "I think telling the truth does that. And you've been running from the truth so long, you've forgotten what it feels like." She glared at me. "I made mistakes, but I didn't deserve to be abandoned." "Abandoned?" I snapped. "I was deployed, not on vacation. You didn't get bored. You got greedy." She flinched. I looked around the room. Broken glass. The smell of sweat and cheap smoke. Pictures off the walls. My home, it didn't feel like mine anymore. She had infected every corner with her lies. "You've got 48 hours, I said. "Then I'm changing the locks." She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. "You don't get to tell me, yo." I just did. I walked upstairs. Emily's room was still tidy. The stuffed bear I sent her from Iraq sat on her pillow. I sat on her bed, ran a hand down my face, and felt the first tear burn its way down my cheek. This was it. The death of a marriage. The beginning of something new. And somewhere, beneath the pain, I started to feel it clarity. I wasn't broken. I was becoming free. The next morning, the house was too quiet. No smell of pancakes. No cartoons playing. No sound of Emily humming in her room. Just silence, and Brooke pacing the kitchen like a ghost who didn't know she was dead yet. I came downstairs wearing a plain black t-shirt and jeans. No uniform. No medals. Just a man who'd been ripped apart and now had to piece himself back together, alone. She turned the second she saw me. "Jason, can we talk?" I ignored the shaking in her voice. She always cried when the consequences finally arrived. "What's left to talk about, Brooke?" Her lips parted, searching for a lifeline she no longer had. "I messed up. I know that. But I didn't think it would go this far. This far." I barked. "You moved a drug dealer into our house. You let him sleep in our bed. You let him scare our daughter into thinking she'd have to watch me die. There is no this far. This is over." Tears welled up. And for a second, I almost believed them. But then I remembered the videos. The texts. The nights I'd begged for a video call just to see her face, and she said the Wi-Fi was down, while she was probably tangled up with Corey on the couch. "I didn't love him," she said, stepping closer. "Then why him?" I asked. "Why bring that into our lives?" Her eyes dropped. "Because he listened. Because he made me feel wanted." I turned away. I had to. If I looked at her too long, I'd see all the nights I'd imagined her curled up on the couch, waiting for me. All the lies I told myself just to survive one more day out there. "Jason, please. You're not perfect either." "No," I agreed, turning back to her. I was gone. I missed birthdays, holidays, but I never stopped loving you. I never broke my vows. And I damn sure never endangered our daughter. She reached for me. I stepped back. That's when her face twisted. The tears stopped as fast as they came. "You think you're some saint," she snapped. "You think just because you wore a uniform you're better than me?" "No. I think I'm better because I didn't turn into a stranger while you were gone." Silence. Then she whispered, "You'll regret this. She'll turn on you too. Kids grow up, Jason. They find out their dads aren't heroes." That hit me like a bullet. But I smiled. Let her. I'd rather she hate me for leaving you than grow up thinking this is what love looks like. Brooke didn't speak again. She stormed upstairs, slammed the bedroom door. I heard something shatter behind it. I sat down at the kitchen table, heart pounding, hands shaking. I hadn't slept. I hadn't eaten. But I finally felt in control. The next hour passed in a blur. I called Liam again, my lawyer. Told him to proceed with full custody, restraining order, and emergency motion to protect Emily from Brooke's environment. "I've got everything I need to bury her in court," Liam said. "Just say the word." "Bury her legally," I replied. "No games. No lies. Just the truth." After that, I made one more call. "Hey," I said when the voice answered. "Dad?" Emily whispered on the line. "Are you okay?" "I am now," I said softly. "You safe with Grandma?" "Yeah. She made French toast." I smiled for the first time in days. Save me a slice. She hesitated. Then, are you going to make Mom leave? I already did. She was quiet. Then came the whisper. Good. That word meant everything. It meant she understood. That she saw through the mask Brooke wore. That she knew who the real monster was. And it meant I wasn't alone in this. I hung up and leaned back in the chair, staring at the spot where Brooke had stood earlier. She thought she broke me, but all she did was show me what I should have seen years ago. And now I was ready for the war she had no idea was coming. By the time evening crept in, the house no longer felt like mine. It felt like a crime scene. A place where trust had been murdered and dragged across every room, bleeding memories in its wake. Brooke hadn't come out of the bedroom. Fine by me. Her silence was the first gift she'd given in years. I spent the next few hours preparing, gathering documents, backing up footage. I wanted everything airtight before the court date. I didn't just want to win. I wanted no one to ever question why I took Emily away. I was in the garage, organizing a stack of financial records, when I heard her voice behind me. You're really doing this? I didn't turn. Already done. You want to ruin me? Now I faced her. She looked like hell, makeup smeared, hair in a greasy bun, wearing the same tank top from the night before. The irony wasn't lost on me. This was the woman I once believed I couldn't live without. I don't want anything, I said. But Emily deserves everything. And you stopped caring about that a long time ago. Brooke's eyes flared. You're acting like I'm the villain here. I laughed. Cold. Bitter. You cheated. Lied. Brought a man with a weapon into our home. Put your daughter in danger. If you're not the villain, then hell must be empty. She crossed her arms. You think court's gonna be that easy? Judges don't care about feelings. They care about facts. I stepped forward and pulled out a USB drive from my pocket, holding it up. Good thing I've got both. She flinched. You wouldn't. I already did. Sent everything to my attorney. Your texts, videos, audio clips. Even the school counselor's report Emily filed when you forgot to pick her up drunk last semester. Her jaw dropped. Oh yeah. You thought no one knew about that? I know everything, Brooke. The mask cracked again. And this time, it shattered. You self-righteous bastard, she spat. You think just because you went to war, you're better than me? You abandoned us for a uniform. You left me with bills, with loneliness, with the burden of being perfect for a kid who didn't even like me. I stared at her, calm. That's what it was about for you. You wanted to thank you for surviving parenthood. She didn't answer. You didn't just fail me, Brooke. You failed her. And I'd die before I let her believe this chaos is normal. She stormed back inside, slamming the door. I exhaled and leaned against the hood of my car. For years I thought I had to keep the family together at all costs. I thought enduring was love, that surviving was loyalty. But sometimes, survival means walking away. Later that night, I got a message from Tyler. She called Corey. Told him you're trying to steal Emily. He's on edge. You need to be ready. Perfect. Let her play that game. I replied. Let him come. I've got cameras. And more than enough witnesses. I wasn't afraid anymore. If anything, I was ready, too ready. I'd faced bullets, landmines, and blood-soaked dirt. If Brooke thought some street rat and courtroom lies could rattle me, she'd forgotten who the hell I was. The next morning, I dropped off paperwork at the county clerk's office. Emergency motion. Custody request. Temporary restraining order. The whole arsenal. By the time Brooke came downstairs, pale and trembling, I had already sealed her fate. You might want to start packing, I told her. She blinked. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem anymore. She wanted chaos. But now? I was the storm. By noon, the papers had been served. A knock at the door. Brooke opened it, still wearing my old hoodie like it would protect her. The look on her face when she saw the envelope? Priceless. Like someone had just handed her a mirror, and she hated what stared back. She stormed into the living room, papers clenched in her hand like she could crush the truth out of them. You filed for full custody? She screamed. I didn't even look up from the coffee I was pouring. And a protective order. Protective order? Against me? Her voice cracked. You can't be serious. I turned. Calm. Measured. You let a man with a weapon into a house where our daughter sleeps. You ignored school pickup 3 times. You got high while she cried herself to sleep in the room next to you. Yep, Brooke. I'm serious. She threw the papers onto the counter. You're trying to destroy me. No. You already did that to yourself, I said. I'm just making sure Emily doesn't get caught in your wreckage. Brooke stood there breathing like she'd run 10 miles. Then she did what she always did when she was cornered. She lied. She told me she hates you, that she wishes you never came back. I stared her down. Try again. Fine, she spat. You know what? Good luck raising a hormonal teenage girl by yourself. Let's see how long it takes before she turns on you. That one almost got under my skin. Almost. But then I remembered Emily's voice on the phone. Good. One word, heavier than all of Brooke's poison. I didn't say anything more. Instead, I opened the back door and nodded toward the driveway. Your ride's here. A black SUV pulled in, sent by her sister, Rachel. I'd reached out earlier, let her know what was coming. Rachel didn't like Brooke much these days. Apparently, sleeping with two of her ex-boyfriends hadn't helped. Brooke looked at the car like it was an execution van. You're kicking me out? Court says you've got 72 hours to vacate. I gave you 48. You should be thanking me. She marched past me, slamming her shoulder into mine on the way out. As she reached the door, she turned back, eyes burning. You think this is over? You think you've won? I walked to the doorway, leaned against the frame. No, Brooke. I don't think I've won. She smirked. I know I have. She drove off 10 minutes later with 2 suitcases and nothing else. No apology. No goodbyes. Not even a glance at the room where Emily used to wait by the window for her. I sat on the porch and watched the car disappear around the corner. And that's when I saw it. Taped under the porch bench, small, black, and blinking red. A camera. Not one of mine. I pulled it down, heart thudding. Plugged it into my laptop inside and checked the files. Weeks of footage. Corey. Brooke. Strangers coming in and out. Conversations caught in perfect audio. One clip made my blood turn cold. Corey, laughing in the kitchen. She thinks I love her. But we're just keeping the place warm till Jason's back. Then we take the cash, and we bounce. Another voice. What about the kid? Corey. We scare her. Maybe she runs. Maybe she keeps her mouth shut. Doesn't matter. Just keep the heat off until we're done. I sat back in my chair, chest heaving. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a setup. They were planning to rob me. Maybe worse. I clicked download all and sent the entire folder to Liam. Next step, the police. Brooke thought she was playing checkers. But she forgot. I was trained for war. And now, I was finally fighting the right enemy. By the time I arrived at the police station with the footage, I wasn't a broken husband anymore. I was a father, a soldier, a man with a mission, and I had the smoking gun in my backpack. I handed over the flash drive to the officer behind the counter. Name? He asked. Jason Blake. He glanced at the drive. What's on here? Proof of conspiracy, home invasion, child endangerment, and a whole lot more. He raised an eyebrow and motioned for a detective. An hour later, I sat in a small room across from Detective Sarah Holt. Tough. Sharp. No nonsense. She plugged in the flash and leaned forward as the first video loaded. Corey's voice crackled through the speakers. She thinks I love her. By the third clip, her expression changed. By the sixth, she paused the video and looked at me with narrowed eyes. You have any idea how serious this is? I nodded. That's why I'm here. You realize if this footage is admissible, you're looking at multiple charges against both parties. Not just the man, but your wife, too. She's not my wife anymore. She clicked through more files. Corey's already on parole for assault. If we can verify this footage is real, he's going away for a long time. Good. And Brooke. I looked down. My fists clenched. She let it happen. She invited it into my home. Into my daughter's life. You do what you have to do. Detective Holt nodded slowly. We will. She promised to keep me updated and walked me out with a handshake. If Corey or anyone else comes near you before we act, call me directly. You're not alone in this, Mr. Blake. Those words hit deeper than she knew. On the way back, I got a call from Liam, my attorney. You sitting down, he said. What now? I filed the emergency order for full custody. The judge reviewed everything you sent. You've got a court date set for next week. But until then, Emily is legally in your custody. No contact allowed with Brooke, per the temporary restraining order. I didn't speak right away. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said, exhaling. Better than I've been in years. That night, Emily came home. Tyler dropped her off with a small suitcase and her sketchbook. She ran up the porch and wrapped her arms around me without saying a word. I held her for a long time. I missed you, Dad. I missed you more. We didn't talk about Brooke. We didn't need to. Instead, we ate mac and cheese, watched old cartoons, and fell asleep on the couch like we used to when she was a kid. For the first time in what felt like forever, the house was peaceful. The next morning, my phone rang. Detective Holt again. We found Corey. Pulled him in last night. He had unregistered weapons in his car and enough narcotics to lock him up for years. He cracked during questioning. Told us everything, including Brooke's part in the plan. I sat down slowly. She's being arrested this afternoon, Holt continued. You'll be notified when the paperwork's complete. Just thought you'd want to know. I did, I said quietly. Thank you. She paused. Most guys break during something like this. You didn't. I gave a hollow laugh. I already broke. This is me rebuilding. As I hung up, I looked over at Emily, still asleep on the couch, clutching her sketchbook like it was a shield. I wasn't fighting for revenge anymore. I was fighting for her future. Brooke tried to take everything from me, but she forgot something. You don't beat a soldier by betrayal. You beat him by facing him head on. And she never had the guts for that. 2 days later, the house felt different. Not just quieter, lighter. As if something toxic had finally been scrubbed from the air. No cigarette stench. No cold shoulder. No tension wrapped in lipstick and lies. It was just me and Emily now. She helped me box up Brooke's leftover things, whatever wasn't taken when Rachel picked her up. Emily didn't ask questions. She just moved from room to room in silence, placing old heels and cheap perfume bottles into a cardboard box like she was taking out the trash. We stood in the bedroom at the end. Brooke's makeup mirror sat on the dresser, still smudged with fingerprints and half-used concealer. Emily picked up a hairbrush and stared at it for a moment. I used to think she was the prettiest woman in the world, she whispered. My chest tightened. She was beautiful, I said, but she forgot how to be good. Emily nodded, then dropped the brush into the box and closed the lid. That night, we lit a fire in the backyard and burned everything. Old letters. Cheap jewelry. The stained Lakers jersey Corey left behind. Brooke's handwriting curled up in flame. Her perfume fizzled into smoke. All of it, gone. By morning, the legal process was already moving. Liam called to confirm the arrest had gone through. Brooke was out on bail, but the court had upheld the emergency order. No contact. No visitation. The judge had reviewed the footage, the reports, Emily's school statements, and my deployment record. She doesn't stand a chance, Jason, Liam said. You'll have full custody by the end of next month. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt done. Later that afternoon, a letter arrived. Handwritten. From Brooke. Emily was at school, so I opened it alone, sitting at the kitchen table, the same table where we used to laugh, fight, eat breakfast. Now it was just another piece of furniture stripped of meaning. The letter read, Jason, I know you hate me. Maybe I deserve that. But I didn't want it to end like this. I was lonely. I was angry. I was stupid. Corey told me everything I wanted to hear. He made me feel like I was still wanted. But it was a lie. And I believed it because I didn't want to feel empty anymore. I never meant for Emily to get hurt. I swear I didn't. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know, I did love you once. Brooke. I read it twice. Then folded it neatly and dropped it into the shredder. She didn't write that for me. She wrote it for herself. To feel better. To make the mirror hurt less when she looked into it. But I wasn't her mirror anymore. And I didn't need her apologies. She'd had 1,000 chances to fix things. To talk. To tell the truth. And she chose silence every time, until it was too late. Now I was the one who got to choose. I chose peace. I chose Emily. I chose to move forward. That night, as I tucked Emily into bed, she looked up at me. Are we going to be okay? I smiled and brushed her hair behind her ear. We already are. Then I sat on the porch with a whiskey in my hand, the sky turning dark above me, the air finally still. This wasn't the life I imagined. But it was mine again. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like freedom.